Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. This is episode number 105, or as some people say, 105 or 105, whatever you want to say it is. So, hey everybody, how you guys been doing this week?
Good. Why do you have to complicate the number of the show so much?
Because I do. I just have to talk
Because he
about
can't
it.
read the number. That's
And the fact is, it gives us something to sit there and get some audio checks, because I know that's the next thing, is make sure that the audio works, because...
check one,
that's a
two.
good idea.
Check.
Yeah.
Testing
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I
Yeah.
don't see anybody complaining yet. So.
Smash that.
Maybe we'd go
it's
2
working.
weeks in a row, man. That would be awesome, huh? Having no problems with the audio.
Sean said it sounds good, so
Alrighty.
I think Sean's
Sweet.
trolling us.
He always is.
I don't trust Sean. He puts RGB lights in a cube.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, dang.
so did David.
But Dave did it a
The role of
little bit
Grudy
better,
today
I think.
Will be taken up by an EMAC. That's the role of Grudy today. So.
Oh,
Yes.
EMAC.
That's the wrong compact. man.
Oh, Trina,
Trina.
can't not only
Trina,
make it
just
to
wait,
the post
just
office.
wait. We have a special
Oh, yeah, no.
section for that later on in the show.
He's not here.
But he can make it to a what meeting was it tonight?
Motorcycle Club.
A motorcycle club meeting. He could
Yeah.
see. He could have brought your package to the post office.
It's on the way. We mapped it out for him.
Exactly.
We said, look, here's the post office, and he said no. Flat out said no. That's verbatim what happened. That's
Yeah.
true.
That's okay. I'm taking care of that one.
So the lesson learned for the next giveaway, whatever Grudy is offering, we'll just not include it.
Yeah, we'll say.
Either that or make sure it's in one of our hands before we offer it.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it took me a while to get mine out, but Trina did actually get, her.
See, when I
months
get,
ago.
you know what's screwed up is when I gave away a laptop, I had like $15 in my pocket, and I still had enough money to send out a laptop to Hawaii.
Well, that's still considered part of the United States. So it cost me about, I think it was about $40-something to send it to Trina. So yeah, it's a little more expensive to send it to Canada.
It
Believe
ain't
it or
gonna
not.
cost. It ain't gonna cost $40 to send a freaking iPod to Canada.
Well, you
The way
won't.
Grudy does it, it will.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, we have a little offline discussion going whether we should let Grudy back on the show before we have a tracking number in hand.
Alrighty. Okay.
All right. So we got a pretty good show lined up for tonight. We got some pretty decent topics tonight. So let's go ahead. I guess we could jump right into our first one if we want. Apple is rich. So we found out Apple hits a new quarterly record profit in 2020, Q4 2020. Who's the one of you guys that found it? Go ahead and explain that.
I did.
Okay, go ahead, Dana.
I did. So Apple posted a record profit, record revenue for the last quarter of 2020. And it was 21% higher than their... Let's see, was it 21% higher than the previous record or the previous quarter? I can't tell. But either way, their revenue for the last quarter of last year was $111.4 billion. And their previous record was, their previous quarterly all-time high was $61.5 billion. That's just in iPhone sales for the first quarter of 2018.
No
Overall,
wonder we can't have ports. We don't have the money for it.
Or MagSafe anymore,
Can't
What do
afford
you mean a
proper-
third USB port? We can afford that. No.
No, you can't. We need that extra money to go in our
How
profits.
is
So they're
their
looking
market share
at a-
sitting with phones and things like that?
Well, the iPhone. Let's see. I'm trying to parse all of these paragraphs here, but basically, the handset revenue, which is your iPhones, sparked. It was a 57% rise in sales in China, which is what helped this particular record here. It says Apple shipped its iPhone 12 lineup several weeks later than usual, but an expanded number of models and new look appear to have tapped into pent-up demand for upgrades, especially in China. They also posted strong sales of Mac laptops and iPads in the quarter, driven by consumers working, learning, and playing from home during the pandemic.
I was about to say, I'm sure the pandemic doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You got to have something to video conference on, so.
Right?
Yeah.
With that 720p webcam, you know.
Yeah, they're blaming that on the thickness, I guess, of the screen, which, to be honest with you, they can make that a little bit thicker.
Make the whole thing thicker. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it an all-day battery. Just snap on a camcorder battery to it. I'll be happy.
Well, doesn't it have an all-day battery with the new M1 processor already now?
All-month battery. Come on, let's push it.
Well, that's an all-day recalculated pandemic style. All day means about an hour and a half if you do serious work.
Yes.
So,
if you're just browsing the internet or something, what YouTube watching, that's a couple of days.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, according to this article, Apple's current value, overall value, is $2.4 trillion. So take that for what it's worth. But
I have a feeling that the first quarter of 2021 is going to be a very big contrast to that. Because their stock has been going down for 2 weeks
I'm
now.
quite happy with their stock. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, let me guess. You own some, right?
Damn right I do. I bought it.
I'm a stockholder as well, but I
ago.
hope it keeps tanking.
Yeah, I think we have other reasons for that, Jay.
Yep.
Speaking of that, I know it's not on the topic here, but everybody knows that there's new OS updates to everything pretty much. Came out, I think it was like a couple.
macOS.
Yeah, except, well, actually, there's a new beta version of Big Sur that came out. But
so I expect an update to go live in the next few days.
Yeah. So, but all the iOS devices got updates, including the watch and everything. You know, so. But.
And tell us all the great new features in those updates.
Yeah, I'm holding off until I start hearing what actually is going on under the hood there, because the way lately Apple's been doing things, I don't particularly trust them too much anymore.
Yeah.
Then don't run them.
That's why
That's why we're waiting.
That's why we're waiting. All right, so next up on the plate. What little... Okay, this also goes into this, but Apple just announced that they're sending out a new privacy feature in their iOS coming out. I think it's a 10.14 or whatever the hell it is now. But they're putting out a new privacy app where they're basically going to allow the users to control what apps get access to what on your phone. Now, we know Android's been doing this for years like that, but I think it's a good thing because Facebook and Twitter and all these have been fighting Apple to not put this out for the longest time.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why we need it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good thing. To be honest with you, I think allowing all these other apps access to certain things that you do on your phone is bad. Maybe we'll stop getting these little ads that pop up, like you start talking about something to your friend or something, and all of a sudden you scroll through Facebook and you see an ad pop up there. You're like, wait a second, how did you know I was? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm looking at a particular used car in Safari, I don't want to see an ad come up for it on Facebook because that creeps me out.
Yeah. And that's what this little feature is supposed to stop.
Yeah.
And I tell you one thing, that's going to be the first thing I turn everything on. Nope, you're not getting access to anything else.
They already came pretty far with what do you call it? Since iOS 14, I believe it was, you can now allow apps to access your microphone but not your camera, and it's a lot more granular than it was, but they're taking it a step further, right?
Yeah. I think it is, yeah. They're taking it way more further. In other words, they're not allowing the app to gain any tracking off of your phone, like we were just talking about, where if you're, like, for instance, you're using Safari looking for a car, and then you go onto the Facebook app, and all of a sudden it shows, you were looking for a car. Would you like to try this, you know? That's
and not just any car, the car that you were looking for.
Exactly, the exact model, everything, you know, if you were looking at that. All right.
Yeah, I think it's something that's just, it's going to be one of those things that is going to become the norm.
Yeah, I think it is too. All right, we have some technical difficulties in the background here, so yeah.
We had two guest plans
that right now.
And Jay is responsible.
I am not.
Fix that right now.
Yeah. All right, but Justin said something about contained security patches. Well, that's they all the time say that, Justin. This is nothing new. So whenever you read something that says contained security patches for vulnerabilities, I'm sorry, but there's nothing being actively exploited out there. I don't think.
Well,
I mean,
not
there might be, but that's just them saying, "Well, we're fixing this," but they're not saying what else they're doing. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Because then you know all the things they weren't fixing.
exactly. Says right, Axe Retro. If you log into your Facebook on your phone and your desktop, it won't matter. Actually, I hear people.
VPN.
I hear people talk about where they sit there and talk to someone else, not even online, talking about a certain subject, and they go on Facebook, and guess what? Boom, there's an ad there about what you were talking about.
There's very creative ways without breaking Apple's guidelines that you can kind of get away with doing that. But it because there's IDs that Apple has stripped you away from using and stuff like that. But there are these clever ways where they get your IP address, and then they're doing all this stuff in the back end trying to like geolocate you, and then they're like, oh well, this guy has an account with this and he's logged in over there, and they like tie all the information together. So I think anything that Apple or any other company does to put pressure on them to turn those make unavailable those tracking details to an individual is
No, I
this.
like that,
if you are familiar with security, privacy issues, and all that stuff, or if you're not, whatever you can dream up is actively being used. Once you get to the point where you think to yourself, "Oh, this is just I'm going into the conspiracy theory tinfoil hat stuff now," then you're actually getting close to all the stuff that they're doing to get information out of you to sell and market.
So the solution to this is to just write everything down on an Apple II connected to an image writer, and then hope you'll have access to any of them. It'll be good. Because
that will work.
Microphones can't hear the screeching, and they'll just short circuit.
Yeah. Just like they won't hear that disk startup sound that we have on our show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about that, because you mentioned stuff like that, because the U.S. Army used to have Tempest rooms and stuff built so that people couldn't detect the key presses that you were pressing, on a keyboard, because each key made a distinct electrical signal, and they would... Yeah.
Well, especially on a telephone. You have one out of 10 guesses, or if you count the asterisk and the pound symbol, a few guesses of what that number sounds like, especially if you get the audio recording. You could probably guess pretty easily about what number people are dialing.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
It's pretty cool stuff. I mean, even your, and I'm not going too in-depth on this. You can look it up, do your own homework, but your power utility provider can know what kind of devices you have in your house and when you use them, based on the pulses of the power draw and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's really cool stuff, but it's all... if you really want to go totally anonymous and privacy,
you got to disconnect completely from the grid.
Yeah, go.
Stephen, this is your power company.
Go get
you
40
have
acres in Alaska.
Dot matrix printers running. What the hell is your problem?
Yeah, but then they'll just train a satellite on you though, then Jay, and they'll know everything you're doing in there. So.
Yep. You're screwed one way or the other.
Yep. There really is no privacy in today's world anymore. I mean. If you get on the internet, don't expect anything you do to be private. To be honest with you.
Pretty much.
Always expect somebody to be watching what you're doing. It's
including all your comments on this live stream.
Exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure that somebody is, logging all this stuff, and I don't know for what, but hey,
Google.
Even if they're not actively, like intentionally doing well. I shouldn't say that. Anything you put out there is being backed up somewhere automatically.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
While I believe, to kind of go back on topic,
mm-hmm.
while I believe that Apple actually does advocate for and give a hoot about proper privacy and security, because as we know, they do not make, as far as we know, make money off of us as products. We are not the product to them. So I have a lot more faith in Apple's privacy and security claims than I would Google or Facebook or anyone else. But still, you never know.
Exactly. I agree with you there. All right. Anything else on this topic before we move on? I know we're starting to move a little fast, but...
No, that's really all I can say about that.
Yep, same here. All right, but just to let you know that they are actually coming out with some fixes, or it's a new feature in iOS that you're going to be able to control more of what people see. That's pretty much the basics of this topic here. So
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Yep. Next thing, iPad. Apple, or January 27, 2010, the first iPad was released. So we're going to talk about the iPad, and I went and I have a bunch of different iPads here from the first one all the way up to the ones we have today. So I could actually show them a little bit off too, but who actually ever had the very first iPad when it came out? Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
What?
I did not see the point of an oversized iPod Touch.
I have two of them right here.
I was the dork that couldn't get the 16 gig one, so I had to buy the 32 gig one.
I have two of them.
Had to, huh?
Yes, had to. They forced.
And these are both 64 gigabyte ones, Steve. And
yeah, I know.
Cellular.
You got them for free, so you didn't pay the $500 for them.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, they're both useless.
Yeah. So what do you complain about?
Well, they're useless now. They weren't at the time. I mean, they were a very handy thing at the time.
Well,
I mean, when they first came out,
completed way too fast. The second gen iPad even today still has a lot of uses, whereas the first one doesn't.
Yeah. I would agree with that totally. I mean, the first gen iPad, it's the same as first gen iPhone is pretty useless these days as well. But
anything less than iPhone 4 is useless.
When they first came out, I had a lot of, because I do web development, I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, we want to make sure our website works on an iPad," and I had absolutely no idea if they were going to. So I went out to buy one so that I could test websites, see how they were going to look, all that sort of stuff. And I have to say, it very, very quickly became something that I just virtually had with me all the time, sort of browsing the web, sitting watching TV or whatever. I mean, I thought they were a very, very good device in the day.
Well, this is second gen.
This is coming
iPad
from a
right
MacBook Air user, Take it with a grain of salt.
Hey, I owned a MacBook Air, so
my MacBook Air doesn't
everybody
work
but
anymore.
Jay likes the MacBook Air, I think.
I don't like them anymore, but it was my first new Mac that got me back into the Mac operating system before.
They were cool for a while.
Yeah, but this is the second gen one that, and it actually still does work. In fact, I use the second gen one back here to monitor my printer. Because I use an app called Many Things. It's a free app that you can download, and it'll automatically, whatever you have the camera trained on, and it'll send you audio and video to your phone using the companion app, and you can actually use it as like a security monitor type deal. You know what I'm saying?
And it's all free?
Yeah, it's free.
And it works on an
where
iPad.
that video is going.
Now the one thing, if you want to pay for it, because you can't, it has where it monitors events and it'll record like events, like if something happens, a noise or something, it'll have a little event where you could click on it and see what happened. But you can't do that unless you pay them a subscription. So they don't let you look back at those videos. So unfortunately, that's the only thing. But for live video, not a problem. It works pretty good.
And it works on an iPad that old.
Yes, an iPad 2.
See, now that's exactly what I'm talking about. The iPad 2 still has a lot of uses.
Exactly, but the first iPad doesn't have a camera anywheres on it. That's the problem.
And it also tops out at OS 6.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
The iPad 2 tops out at OS 9.1.
Yeah, and Many Things still works perfect on it.
There's a lot of stuff. Anything over iOS 8 is actually, even today, is still somewhat useful. because there's a lot of stuff that you can still get, even you can still download apps for on OS 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the problem is like the iPhone 3G or the 3GS, whichever one it is, had similar specs to the original iPad, and Apple was under contract for AT&T at the time, who was the only one in the U.S. selling the iPhone, to provide a software update for it. So that actually got a software update, but the iPad, which was under no such obligation, did not get a software update that phone did. So all the apps that phone could take theoretically should be able to run on the iPad, and I know there's been some jailbreaking stuff and things like that to try and tweak those. But I just think that's interesting that we could have had a bit more life out of that iPad. But
so this iPad 2 I got right here, I'm running like Mike was saying, 9.3.5 is running on it with no problems. And these things still have a little, like Mike was saying, the 2 and up still have some functionality that you can use. They're slow.
Things in the world, but yeah. I mean they're reliable as hell.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, my battery still works.
And truthfully, the batteries in the iPad 2 are some of the best ones that Apple's ever used, because I still have an iPad 2 here with its original battery, and that thing still holds a heck of a charge.
Yeah. Then they came out with the iPad minis, which I think was...
That's when I became interested.
Well, the problem with the mini is that it's basically almost the same size as the iPhone Maxes they have out now. I mean, the Maxes are maybe about...
That's an exaggeration.
Well, not really.
Yeah, and when did that come out?
Put that in your pocket.
It's getting close.
2010.
2012.
It has a purpose.
12.
But
I wanted one for reading. I didn't care about browsing the web. I didn't... Well, all I wanted to do was have an e-reader, and the iPad Mini really piqued my interest.
Well, that's a good thing because
until 2014, I think I got my first iPad Mini.
But here's the thing about the iPad Mini: you can actually hold it with one hand versus the regular iPad.
I have an iPad Mini 1 here, and I always like them.
I have 3 of them. They're all stolen by family members.
Just like the old iPad 2. I mean, they're slow. And they do have a bit of a substandard screen, I think, compared to like the full size iPad. But other than that, I mean, they're great little devices. I've always enjoyed mine, and the batteries. Once again, the batteries last forever in them.
Well, here's another one that I have. It's based on the iPad 2 design, but this is when the Retina came out on it, and also they changed it to a Lightning port on the bottom.
Now, I gotta say, I got my dad a iPad Mini 4, 2015 model, I believe, last year, and that's the first time I saw a Retina screen on an iPad Mini, and it is gorgeous.
The Retina screens, when they came out with the first Retina screens on these things are awesome looking. Now, they came up a little bit thicker than the other iPads. Yeah, okay. They came up a little thicker than the other iPads because of the Retina screen, because they actually it was thicker than the other screens, which for some reason I don't understand it, because they actually fused the glass onto it. The digitizer was actually fused to it, so a little bit difference on it. But this one still works fine too. I mean, and it still used the same covers that you could use for the old. I think iPad 2 to iPad 4, you could use the same covers, the Magic covers. They didn't change them up at all.
The interesting thing about the iPad was that Apple had sort of originally expected that they would have a similar lifespan to the phones. They thought that people would be updating the iPads as quickly as they would be updating their phones. So, generally the 1.5 to 2 year life cycle.
I don't think that happened.
But it absolutely did not happen. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot by making something that actually worked for a lot longer than that. And people were looking at them probably more with a, maybe slightly less than a laptop lifespan rather than a phone lifespan.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that, sort of we're all talking about ones here that are many, many years old, and still using them, or whether they're still functional or not.
Now, what about the Air? Because that's when they changed.
The Air is decent.
But the problem I have with the Air is that the bezel, okay? Because a lot of times, especially on the regular iPads, I hold it, kind of when I'm holding it, I like to have my fingers on the bezel, but then your finger starts touching here and starts getting in the way.
Hold that up next to the Mini. This is something that I've never understood. Why the hell do you need two iPads almost identically the same size?
It's supposed to be, the screen is supposed to be the size of a regular iPad, but it's supposed to be as light as a Mini.
See that.
It's supposed to be.
I don't get it.
I never understood the whole idea either, but it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be like the bastard child of an iPad and an iPad Mini.
Yeah.
I think what they were trying to do is the Air would have been the replacement, but that sort of morphed into its own thing. So now they have, the Air, they have the low-cost one, now they have the Pro.
Apple did what Apple does best ever since Steve died, is they don't axe anything, they just keep adding on to it.
They just segment the hell out of it, yeah.
That's how we got the Performance in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, going there, huh?
Oh,
But
yeah.
they did come out with a lot of different stuff for it. For instance, back there I actually have a keyboard that you could put the iPad on to make it. It looks like a regular iMac keyboard.
Oh yeah, like a dock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually. Hold on, I'll show it to you if I can get it, and it won't come off. There we go. But this is the dock that Apple, and this is actually an Apple design product. It's something that they came out with for the iPad, and now it only fits the 30-pin dock connector, so you can't put the Lightning connector on here. But these things are pretty indestructible too. I mean,
yeah, they're decent.
Pretty darn useless these days, but pretty indestructible.
Well,
maybe I just didn't love the iPad from the beginning because I was a laptop user. I had a MacBook Pro. The iPad just didn't make sense to me. At the end of 2012, when I switched to my Mac Pro, suddenly iPad became a lot more interesting, and that's when I started looking at the Mini. But to this day, even if I have one now, or if I reclaim the one my wife stole, I'll play with it for a day. I'll load up all my books, and then it'll probably sit on a shelf again for a month. If they're like, hey, I could use my iPad for that. I just don't really have a use for it.
You know what use I do for a lot of it is when I'm in bed and I want to basically consume content or watch Plex, because there is an app for Plex on it, and I watch, you can watch movies on there when not disturb the wife. I just put my AirPods in and, just zone out on a movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and Jay, I was also going to say, if you're only interested in reading, you might think about a Kindle.
I didn't like the screens. I looked at them at Best Buy at the time, but not a fan.
Because I've heard that the batteries on those things last for weeks.
Well, that's the reason. The reason why is because e-ink is whenever it draws a screen, that's all it does. It draws it one time and it turns itself off, and it stays that way until it needs to draw something new.
Right. So if that's all you need is something for reading, that sounds like an ideal solution to me.
Well, now, fast forward to now the phones are so big. Might as well use the phone.
True.
So you're trying to say that the phones are as big as the iPad Mini now? So
no. I'm not like Greg, Grudy, that reads his iPad in bed and then drops it on his face when he falls asleep. I'm not making that mistake.
Well, I will go out and say that I use my iPad every day, and I think it's one of the best things that Apple have ever made. So
I do too, Bruce. In fact, I have the newest, the Gen 7 iPad with the pencil. I use the pencil with it too. The pencil is probably the best thing they ever made for it. And I think that's actually increased the sales of the iPad once they came out with the pencil, because a lot of designers like drawing on that versus drawing on a computer screen or anything that Microsoft came out with at the time.
I am considering an iPad Pro or something, whatever the latest is, to get it for my wife, because she can use the drawing and I can reclaim my first gen iPad Mini and read a book once in a while.
I'm telling you right now, if she's a graphics designer, like you say, she will love it, because to be honest with you, the accuracy of that pencil is amazing. Especially if you get the new one with the second gen Apple Pencil. because it has the charging, because it magnetically clips to the side of the iPad and charges from the iPad, versus the way they did the first pencil where you stick it in the bottom of the lightning port and it sticks out. It's stupid the way the first design was dumb.
Steve's gone back to cleaning the basement, hasn't he?
Yes, I muted him. Hey, so Justin Morgan says, I'm just waiting for the iMacBook Pro Mini.
It might happen.
It could at this point.
Look at Steve. He's like, yeah, I was cleaning. I think the iPad has come a long way. I think it's become its own thing, because you got to remember, back when Microsoft first tried a tablet, it failed miserably. And
not just Microsoft, a lot of companies, because the
exactly.
software.
Well, even Apple tried it with the Newton.
Hello, Newton.
Yeah.
I mean,
the software on the second iteration of the Newton was actually okay, but I'm talking about all these Android tablets that tried to make something usable that was different than the experience you got on the phone, and it was just either a weird combination of like trying to be like a computer or trying to be like a phone. And I think the first version of the iPad OS was pretty good, but it wasn't until you got a lot more refined with the later models where you just really had that refined elegance that you just would not be able to get.
Well, I think also, and Steve, and you can back me up on this, but when the first iPad came out, I mean, most of the apps were iPhone apps that you could run on there in double mode. I mean, so
yeah, and for the longest time you were using iPhone apps, or it was before Apple had unified apps, so you would have to buy the app twice, once for your iPhone, once for the iPad. Yeah. You'd have HD versions of apps and stuff like that.
I used to hate that. That was so dumb.
It's a little silly. It was a little silly, but it's in a much better place now.
Yes, it is. But there's still a couple of apps out there that are for iPhone only, and you download them and you have that little button in the bottom there. It says 2 times, and it'll expand it to your screen. It looks like a big giant iPhone screen,
Which is fine. I'd rather have the compatibility than not be able to run the application.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, but I think that's also where Apple's been going to as far as the Mac, because they've been kind of pushing the Mac OS to that type of interface. Look at the launch, the launch pad on it. That almost looks like an iPad.
Quick survey, and you guys say eep if you do and quack if you don't in the chat. Who the heck uses Launchpad? Not me.
Quack, quack.
Quack.
I actually have used it.
The most worthless thing.
I use it.
I don't even know what it does. What does it do?
It just shows your apps. Well,
yeah,
some of them. The ones it
dumb.
feels like you want to.
Well, it shows all the applications that are in your application folder.
Nope. Some of them it doesn't show for whatever stupid reason.
It should.
It should, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem with that. But
hey, Bruce, it's only one of the few icons you actually took off of your dock.
Yeah.
Oh no, this sucks.
Well, I use it to go to find the app that I just installed, and then I'll pull it down to my dock, because I mainly use my dock. But
do you have the applications folder in your dock?
I would say most of us just drag the applications folder to the dock, so we don't have to worry about it.
That's the better way to do it.
Okay,
just put every single icon in the dock.
That's not how Bruce does it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bruce just has every...
I am actually changing the way my dock works. It's still a bit painful.
You can't do that. That's like a national monument there.
Yeah. I just use Spotlight for everything. Command space bar.
But it's not the dock. I use Spotlight.
Type whatever app I want, 2 letters, it finds it, hit enter. That's how I find most of my apps.
And Jay's the one that says he doesn't like command line.
What?
I said, Jay, you're the one that complains about command line, and you want to go and type and find an app.
Yeah, Safari. All I have to do is SA. It's there. Photoshop, same thing. It's either that or look through my dock. Like, wait.
Like Bruce.
Yeah.
I mean, mine are generally in approximate positions where I know where they are. Where I really get stuffed up is when Adobe does something like they did with Dreamweaver and changed the color of Dreamweaver. The icon. So it used to be green and now it's pink. And so when I'm just looking for the icon
now,
I'm trying to find I'm trying to find the green one and it's not there. But of course, I've resolved that by just copying the icon from CS4 Dreamweaver on top of the icon of the latest Dreamweaver.
Yeah, Adobe is saying
until
you
it
better
doesn't
have
update.
your monitor color calibrated, otherwise you won't be able to tell the difference between these icons.
Yeah, Adobe sucks.
Well,
But that's not a story.
especially your dock though, Bruce, because they're so small.
Well, you see, it's not going to be like that for that much longer. So what I've been doing, in particular with the Adobe ones, where I like to keep older versions of them because they so regularly stuff up the new versions that I need to be able to sort of revert back. So what I've been doing is I've created a folder with aliases of that. So let's just say I create a folder that I just call Illustrator, and I put aliases of all of the different versions of Illustrator into that. And then I drag that folder into the dock, and then that's just spring-loaded. So when I click on that, it just brings up all of the different versions of Illustrator. So instead of me having, 5 Illustrator icons, now I only have one that's spring-loaded, and it works obviously much better.
Good way of doing it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it goes. I've got a lot of work to do to get it all done.
I was going to say, how many did you say you had at the last time you counted?
Do you want me to count now?
No. It's going to take you half the show to count.
120 or something like that.
Bruce, I have a solution for your unique dock problem. You get a second monitor, tilt it, and then move the dock to the right side of the screen so you have it vertical. You'll be able to see, you can have it taller or like this so you can see everything better. You should give that a try.
No.
No fun.
No fun. Across the bottom of the monitor I have now. It's running the full width of the monitor I have now at the bottom. If I turn the monitor on its side and have it running on the side,
same.
it's exactly the same. Just saying.
Well, just get a 32-inch monitor like I did so you can actually see it.
Or a 49-inch widescreen like me,
This one's reasonably
Then
big.
you could actually have all your docks, your icons on the
Just
bottom.
put a projector on the closet behind you and project your dock on the wall.
Hold on, I gotta open that app. Wait.
I just need to get Apple to add a second row to the thing.
I've got to find system
There's
preferences.
a
I'll walk
third-party
to the
app that can
kitchen.
do that.
Walk to the kitchen.
Hey, there's an app for that.
Yeah, let me go find it.
All right, guys. Anything else about iPads before we move on?
I like them.
Yeah,
I do too.
Go buy one.
I want a
They
new one.
grew on me.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have a bunch of them here. My daily driver is a iPad 7th Gen. I still use a 2nd Gen one, like I said, as a remote camera. Pretty much to watch my printer while it's printing. So, other than that, I think the iPad is actually a very good product that Apple came out with, and it fills a need.
It was
You know.
one of those
let's
Steve Jobs was adamantly opposed to.
We should also mention the child minding effect of an iPad.
They make
Oh,
great
true.
babysitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've
Well-
become the babysitters of the future.
Well,
Yeah,
also, I
my
just thought of
nieces use
this.
them.
I just thought of this too. But if you remember correctly, the iPad was actually in development before the iPhone was. Okay.
Yeah.
And Steve Jobs, saw that and he said, "Hey, can we make this into a phone?" And so the iPhone actually came out before the iPad. However, the iPad was in development before the iPhone.
Yeah.
So
I think basically the only way tablets could become mainstream, it wasn't going to happen until they could have broadband access, because you had the Newton, which was basically like a day planner. Yes, it would communicate with the Mac. Yes, it had very basic wireless capabilities, but
it wasn't going to be.
Can you imagine trying to use a tablet on like modem
wasn't
speeds?
the best thing.
So
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Dana. Until you got Wi-Fi, broadband, cellular activity, because I think the very first iPads did include cellular service. So going into a coffee shop or whatever else you were going to, or wherever you were going to, you had basically access to the internet wherever you went.
yeah. And now it's to the point where all you do is plug in a little keyboard to your iPad, and it's like you're using a MacBook.
Yep.
So
pretty much that's the
I
way it
will
is
say
now.
that the iPad
A
has
MacBook
become
with
a
a
lot
touch
more
screen.
useful since iPad OS. On iOS, they were limited.
Yes.
And with iPad OS, they became a lot more useful.
That's exactly right.
And you also got to look at the iPad as a stepping stone to their M1 processors too, because I don't think if it's for the iPad, especially the iPad Pro, we wouldn't have the M1 processors in the new MacBooks today. I think that was the stepping stone to prove that yes, you could have long battery life and a processor you don't need a fan on, because there isn't one iPad that has a fan on it at all. And the newest iPads run, super fast. So
I would like to see what the error looks like. You know how if you have your iPhone sitting in the sun too long, then you do a FaceTime call and you get that warning about it's too hot, you got to let it cool down. I want to see what that looks like on a MacBook Air without the fan.
You'll probably melt
it. Automatically closes the lid for you.
Yeah, it's like, it says you got a little hand that comes out and goes, "Nope, I'm closing." All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic here. And I don't even have it
Before
up
we
yet.
do, can I make a small segue?
Sure.
Everybody, look at Steve's camera. I will turn my camera on. I forgot it was off. On Steve's camera, you will see a camera, or more a projector next to him. If you're curious what that is about, check out the live stream he did yesterday or the day before.
And fast forward to the end. Yes, yesterday.
Yeah, where he shows you how he uses it and what he does with it. It's really cool. And even I, that always dislikes his videos, was pretty intrigued by it. So check it out.
It's a very evil genius type of contraption.
It's cool. It's cool.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on, and this is going to be, I think, Steve, Dana, and Bruce's, and maybe Mike's favorite topic. I think Jay and I are probably going to be quiet on this one a little bit, but January 24th of 1984. Anybody remember what that date holds in history?
That's when I lost my keys 37 years ago.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was the birthday of the 128K our Macintosh. No, I was going to say iMac.
The original Macintosh.
Yeah, the original Macintosh.
Which was about as useless as the first iPad.
Yeah, but without it, we wouldn't have our Macs today, Mike. So
it's very portable too.
Well, it had a handle.
Yeah. I think Madeline could speak better than any of us on what it was like to use a 128.
Well, that's to use it today. If back then, it was probably more useful.
No, it was still useless.
No, still the memory limitation and the type of programming and hardware requirements to refresh the entire screen with the bitmap graphics, I think took up way more memory than Apple ever envisioned on the thing, because it was supposed to originally ship with more memory, and the machine that Steve Jobs demoed actually had more memory than the 128K. So all those fancy graphics things and all that stuff that he showed, that was kind of a sleight of hand, because
they actually used a 512 as a demo.
It was either a 256 or a 512, something like that.
It was a 512, because the 512 was already in the planning stages when the 128 released.
Yeah.
But the thing that was the only way they could get the price point even remotely reasonable was to axe memory, because memory was ridiculously expensive in 1980.
And that the price of the original targeted price was supposed to be around $2,000, and that had already gone up.
I think they wanted it to be $1,995 or something like that.
Yeah, they originally wanted it to be, I think, somewhere between $1,700 and $1,900. It crept up to $1,900, and then they had another $600 on top of that before launch. So it became this thing that was like way too pricey for what it was at the time. But there were trade-offs, obviously. As I went into kind of with my first clone video about why people chose the Mac, is because you didn't have to know these computer codes and commands, and you didn't have to deal with a command line or syntax or anything like that. It was much more approachable.
Yeah,
it was the first thing that you could buy for your house. You didn't have to sit there and type a whole bunch of commands on.
It was so good
no matter what computer you had in the day, IBM PC, Commodore 64, Atari, 400, all those Apple II, I mean, all those computers you had to know a bunch of cryptic commands to do this and do that and make the computer jump through hoops. And this one here, you just click a couple of things and voila, it's off and running to the races.
Well, and it's funny too because it was so good that even Microsoft had to steal it.
Look at that chonk board and chonk pad right there.
I mean, this bag smells like 1984.
It was. I will grant the 128. It was one of the most innovative and creative things of the 1980s in terms of technology to come out. And I'm also glad that Apple did not wait to release the 512 because the 512 is a very, very, very good machine.
Well, didn't they use a 512 on the demo because the 128 just could not
covered that?
Huh?
GC was snooping.
He doesn't listen to me. That's why he talks over me all the time.
Sorry.
But yeah, the 5 and I had a 512. I love that thing. That thing was freaking awesome. I had the enhanced version with the 800K floppy drive. So
fancy you.
And I tell you what, that thing, that for even for having to swap out floppies and everything, because I didn't have the hard drive, it was an awesome machine. And I truthfully, that's the machine Apple should have led with, because I think in the beginning, I think a lot of people felt burned by Apple because of the extremely limited amount of memory on the 128.
Well, you could just pay them $1,000 to upgrade it.
Yeah. But in Apple's defense, which this is kind of odd coming from my mouth, the 128 actually did have double the memory of most home computers at the time.
Yeah.
Because most
just use a heck of a lot of.
Because remember, this was a home computer. This was not intended for businesses or, like the IBM. Right. But, so you had your Commodore 64, you had your Apple II, you had your Atari 8-bit line. They all had 64K of RAM.
Mm-hmm.
So, 128K, that was a lot of memory in 1984.
The really important thing that, is brought up so many times when it comes to computers. I mean, it's all very well to go in and create the most revolutionary graphical user interface or, completely and totally change the way you interact with a computer. But when you have the thing sitting in front of you, what next? What do you do with it now? And that's where the apps are so important, and they always refer to the killer app. It's like if you are someone who's looking to buy a computer and you've got this Macintosh 128K out there that looks amazing, but there's no software that does what you want to do. And that's I think the thing that stopped the Mac from being, sort of being all that it could at the beginning. I mean, it needed to sort of be released with a huge range of software that meant that it was an actual option for someone to say, all right, I've got this computer, I'm going to upgrade to a Mac and I'm going to be able to do everything I was able to do on the old computer on this Mac with the new graphical user interface. And I mean, the things like MacPaint and that, they were novelties,
They were included
compared to a lot of the stuff out on the market at the time. MacPaint and MacPaint was actually pretty cool because that there wasn't too much out like that. But I mean, MacWrite was useless. I mean, when you were trying to compete with things like WordStar and WordPerfect and even Microsoft Word for DOS. I mean,
but it was available, and that was the problem. A lot of people, to make applications for the Macintosh, like I mentioned a bit in my video, they had to, take a leap of faith because this was a brand new platform. You needed a freaking Lisa 2 to compile the code for the Macintosh.
That was ridiculous. That was just so absurd. I mean, so that and as I was sort of saying before, I mean, software is so important with these things. It's a selling factor. To make it hard for developers to make software for the platform, mean that they're having to fork out to buy a Lisa it was just absolutely absurd.
Yeah. And
so
that was
you have.
I'm sorry, Mike.
No, I was just saying so you have this computer that's new, expensive, and has limited memory that's not upgradable like every other computer was at the time. And then you have the limitation of, there's not a lot of software out there for it. That's not really going to make a bunch of developers jump and be eager to be like, let's support this new computer that Apple's coming out with,
See, now one thing I think one thing, and they probably didn't think about this because they were trying to get away from it. If they would have had some way of letting you run Apple II software on that thing, then it probably would have been a lot more appealing to a lot more people at the time.
Yeah, and I think that's what they eventually did with the LC. You had the Apple IIs
they did that because they were canceling the Apple II line in general. Because it was pretty old by that point, and they were trying to get the LCs in schools where schools had spent millions of dollars investing in all kinds of Apple II software. And
where'd you bring up the Picasso logo again? I love that logo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so here's just the Apple part of it. That's this is the accessory.
Meh.
And then Dana's like, nah, that's not what I want.
Now that's a real 128, right?
Yeah, this is a real 128.
Okay.
And then here is the full artwork that Dana has.
I love that. It's just so simple, but it's so cool.
That is so 80s. I always like that design.
I have a T-shirt with that on here somewhere. I don't know where the heck it is.
And if anybody's into collecting machines, the 128 is actually quite rare these days, simply for the fact that most 128s that you do come across nowadays are upgraded to 512s.
Right.
Yeah.
Finding an original 128 in the wild is actually quite difficult.
In the wild. So I actually have, this is a 128, but inside of the logic board is actually upgraded to a Macintosh Plus. It has a weird piggyback unit. So if I remove that, it's a stock 128, which is nice because I could experience that.
That's the one.
Yeah. And in fact, the logic board isn't inside of here. That's why this isn't plugging in anywhere right now. Otherwise, I'd turn the thing on.
Well, you could turn it on all you want. That wouldn't make it work.
No, yeah, it is harder to find them because a lot of people did. Either you went through Apple, you paid the $1,000 for the RAM upgrade, or once Apple was doing it, other places figured out how to do it. You could bring your Mac to them for probably, 2/3 of the price and have them do it for you.
Oh yeah, because there was all kinds of companies back then.
Exactly.
RAM upgrades and stuff for half the price of what Apple, because Apple would just swap out your logic board.
Exactly. Yeah.
They would swap the logic board and the badge on the back and say, hey, this is now a 512, which unfortunately now is kind of the bane of the collector's existence because,
no 512.
Yeah, because, all the 128s are now 512s,
Yeah.
And when you do find a 128, that people want stupid money for it because they are so hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're out there and you're looking for an older machine like this, I would actually recommend the Plus. It could do a bit more.
Plus is great.
Has
Plus is great.
in.
SCSI, I mean,
the memory is expandable.
And if you want something like a 128, I would say a 512. I would look for what they call a Fat Mac, 512K,
or a 512KE with the 800K.
The enhanced is much better.
You got to remember, if yours doesn't include the keyboard, these go for anywhere from $70 to $100 just for the keyboard. And then Bruce will tell you all about the cable for the keyboard, that you can't use a regular phone headset cable or it'll short it out.
And that's the reason why so many of them are broken.
Yeah.
Because people use
it's a phone cable. No, it's not.
Oops.
In a lot of respects, the keyboard's probably more is actually worth more than the computer.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not an ADB keyboard. Before ADB.
Yeah. That's why I would say that if you were actually hunting down a compact Mac, I would actually, as much as I love the Plus because of all the nostalgia associated with it, I'd be more inclined to tell people to go with an SE because the SE has no surface mount electrolytic caps. Some of them have a soldered-on battery. They've got a fan inside them. They've got a power supply that'll do 110 or 240 volts. They've got a hard spot. Even if you buy one with the floppy one, you can put a hard drive inside them, and they take ADB keyboards, which opens you up for getting a keyboard for all of the later computers. So SE is a really good compact Mac collector, in my opinion.
Yeah, and don't forget about this. If you have one of these, especially if it's the 128K, you're dealing with 400K floppy disks, and it's a bit of a pain to write software. You need hardware and software combination.
With.
Yeah, and you need the disks.
You'll find that almost every 400k floppy drive still in existence today will be seized up and need to be serviced.
Yeah, thank goodness for the floppy MUs.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that probably saves those machines a lot today. Is those floppy emus or whatever you want to call them.
I call them an emu because of the Australian bird that they are meant to be.
Well, the 400k drive is not exactly the most reliable unit.
No.
And that's being nice. They were twitchy suckers back in the 80s.
They're
not twitchy, but twitchy.
Old clunker, those things. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad there was only 2 machines that ever used them, and both of them were very short-lived.
Lisa, 3.
Oh yeah, the Lisa 2. Okay, so 3. Yeah, you're right. I forgot. I always forget about the Lisa.
Yeah,
everybody. Nobody likes Lisa. Yeah. But yeah, if it wasn't for the original limited Macintosh, we wouldn't all be here today, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and thankfully, with these machines, from the 128 to the Plus, the battery is all in the back. So remove those batteries, you can do it easily.
That is a plus. I mean, obviously, if your battery fails on a 128k, 512k, or a Plus and leaks, it's going to wreck the battery holder, but generally doesn't wreck anything else.
And that's the dumbest thing that Apple ever did was take that thing off.
Yeah.
It's been hell ever since.
Is it the dumbest? I mean, I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's the dumbest because Apple's done some doozies and
really, yeah, absolutely.
It's up there though.
Let's talk about
a list a while ago.
Yeah, I was going to say we got a big long list of dumb things Apple has done.
Yeah, that's right.
So that could be a whole other show,
It has been.
Have we done a show on that?
Computer, there's a whole list of dumb things that Apple has done.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start on our next topic, unless we beat this one into the ground.
Yeah, I think we're done with it.
Yeah. All right, let's play a game, as they say.
Yeah.
Would you like to play a game?
Yes. All right, we got a couple of eat quacks
seen a movie
here.
that I haven't seen.
If you're new and you don't know what the eat quack game is, basically it's have you or haven't you ever done this? So basically, eep if you have, and quack if you haven't. And you type it in the chat once we read off the thing, and we'll actually say it ourselves here. So the first one, when using devices with screw-secured connectors, do you usually or always leave one or both screws unscrewed? And this comes from Scarlet Swordfish on Discord.
Eep.
I would say eep.
Yeah, I was there to eep or a quack. Yeah.
Because if you don't...
This makes me think of when you're plugging in video adapters and they have screws on them. I just do one, if any. If
I usually don't even
it getting pulled out or something. I just do the one screw. I don't do them both because they're always freaking hard to get off.
If I'm doing testing, I don't even push them in or put the screws in. Now, after I test everything, make sure everything's working, then I screw the screws in. But when I start testing stuff, I just push the cable in and that's it.
Jeez, what's going on?
Steve's tearing up his basement again.
Yeah, he probably fell over his 128 there.
Sorry.
So let's see how many eeps we have. Never do it. I see there's a quack in there. Greg Coons puts both screws in there then, I guess, every time.
I typically go with both screws.
So you're a quack then?
I typically go with no screws.
I don't know. I don't have anything that screws into the back of my computer.
Well, it used to have the DVI connector was screwed in. The VGA had screws.
I use DisplayPort cables now. They just clip in on their own.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything just shoves in now. There's no
HDMI.
There's no more screws on it. On anything anymore.
So most of the time when I'm dealing with something like that, it's usually on a machine that I'm testing or just trying out. And 9 times out of 10, no, I don't even bother. But I mean, if it's something that's going to be in use all the time, yeah, of course I do. But
yeah.
If it's something that I'm plugging in a SCSI device or something like that, I want to screw that in because I don't want it to screw up, while while I'm messing about.
Screw up.
You said SCSI.
Yeah.
Yeah, with SCSI devices, if you leave one unscrewed, that's just enough voodoo to make that device stop working,
So
Yeah,
Greg Kuhn
and
says he
trust me, with
screws in
SCSI, it
his
doesn't take much
HDMI
to
cable.
get one of those to stop working.
Sorry, say that again, Mike?
Go ahead,
I said,
Mike.
yeah, when it comes to SCSI, it doesn't take much to keep it from working.
Yeah.
So
What
Greg
you got
Kuhn
there,
says he screws in his HDMI cable. Has anybody ever seen an HDMI cable with a screw on?
I have very old television sets by the DVI ports.
Yeah.
I've only seen one. It was an old Sony rear projection, but what it was is the DVI adapter had a screw for the HDMI port. So if you had an adapter,
Okay.
No,
All
I'm
right.
just saying that there was actually one, but yeah.
Okay, sarcasm there. Okay.
Right.
I was gonna say I've never seen one, so I kind of piqued my interest if there was actually something out there.
I'm sure there's industrial uses for
I'd
one.
say I've seen some industrial cables that have screws on the HDMI, but nothing consumer grade.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. All right, the next one. This is a good one here. Grudy has said he will ship out Trina's iPod this week. Eep if we believe him. Quack if we don't.
Quack.
Quack.
Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack.
Even Trina says quack. This is awesome.
I don't see any eeps here. Come on, let's
No.
see.
There's no
faith.
There's no faith.
No faith in Grudy. Uh-oh.
He forgot he has something he has
3
to
months
send me.
now.
Sadback goes, he's not picking sides. Oh, Justin Morgan said eep. All right.
What?
Grudy paid off, Justin.
Nah.
He must
It's
have.
already Thursday, and it said what this week? It's already Thursday. It might as well be freaking Sunday to Grudy because yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, anybody knows his turnaround time on things is a little bit lacking at times.
At least he
Trina
made it
says
look
he told
good.
me he would ship it Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Friday?
Which
Every
Friday?
Friday.
Did he specify?
Did he specify a date? Like,
Yeah.
maybe March something Friday or,
2021 or
December?
2022?
Yeah,
What
which
are we
year?
talking about here?
Yeah. It's gonna need a recap by the time he sends it to her.
I know. Oh. All right. The last one I am not going to read, so, Jay's messing with the notes here. So
I just wanted to see if he was on autopilot and was just reading whatever I
no.
typed.
If I started reading that, then I've got to go get some sleep because I am tired then. But I saw that. That's why I said nope, not going to read it.
I didn't see it. It's already.
So, guys, that's our Eep Quack game. If you have any Eep or Quacks that you want to see in the future, go to our Discord. We have a channel there for show topics and stuff. Put some stuff in there for us. We did use Scarlet Swordfish's Eep/Quack tonight. So, we'll actually, acknowledge that you actually put it out there. So
We do check those, and
yes.
if we have, like this week we only had the one, but we came up with a couple others. But if you guys
one
submit
other.
enough of them, we'll just put a whole bunch of them into a group and do them in the show. So,
yeah.
and they're
All
fun.
right. Let's see. What is our next topic here? The definite Mac Pro upgrade. It's time we gave it a
Definitive.
shout out. So
Definitive.
I'm going to let Jay go on this one because I think, did you write this one in here?
Definitive?
Yeah. So if you are in the Mac Pro upgrade group on Facebook or even in Low on Mac, it's been mentioned once in a while. But if you're a Mac Pro user, you probably know of this guy. His name is Greg Grant, and he wrote the definitive Mac Pro upgrade guide. And it is a work of art. He's been working on that for 2 years, and it's really detailed. And he now has a YouTube channel as well. And I am not clicking anywhere because I don't want to see what these guys are giggling about. I'm not risking it. He has a YouTube channel as well now, and I'll paste a link to that as well here. And it's definitely worth checking out. If you have a Mac Pro, you want to be familiar with that guide. It will answer any and all questions you have. So he's been doing this for a while, and I figured it's time to give him a plug on the show for it. So there
Yeah.
it is.
I agree. I think I use that guide a lot too. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
That
GPU,
actually,
CPU, whatever you want to upgrade, it's all there.
I think he keeps updating it on one of the the Mac Rumors.
Mac Rumors, I think.
Yeah, and he always keeps it updated with the newest graphic cards and stuff like that will work on the classic Mac Pro. So it does. There's a lot of good information in there, and I've actually, like I said, I've used it, and that's what I use to actually determine which CPU I actually wanted to actually put in my classic Mac Pro, because there's a lot of good information in that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get it anywhere else. It's all consolidated in that one thing right there. So,
oh yeah,
yep.
Yeah, it looks like he only has about 300 subscribers or so, but he has quite a few videos at least from a few weeks ago to a few months ago. So I'm gonna browse through those. Those look very interesting.
Yeah. So.
Damn it! I clicked it.
Should
better.
I told you. All right, so we're going to do a little exercise here. This is something Dana came up with because he wanted to see what is the oldest file on our computers.
Yeah, I was working on a project today, and I happened to be searching for a particular file that I knew I had, and I was on the computer somewhere. And it just popped into my head. I was like, I wonder what the oldest file I have on this computer is. Because I know that I've got files on here that have come from years and years and years ago. Been carried over, since I started working, basically. So I did a little search, and it's just a simple finder search. You go on your computer, and you do a search, and you go by created date. And so my oldest file... I took a screenshot. Where is it? My oldest file is a font called Sans Serif Demi Italic. And the created date is December 1st, 1985 at 11:36 p.m. So, and I just tried to click the wrong close button. Okay. So then I thought, all right, it might be fun to look and see what the oldest folder is. And it is also a font, but it's a different font. It's a folder for the font called Samsonite, and it was created December 30th, 1987 at 5 a.m. So, and
that guy was up late.
So I said, well, wouldn't this be kind of cool for everybody to search for the oldest file on their computer? Now, obviously, if you have an MP3 that has a created date of like 1987, that's wrong because your computer's clock was wrong at whatever time it was created. So, but yeah, that was the oldest files I could find on my computer, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to, go back and see what you might be surprised what you find.
The oldest file I have is October 12th, 1996, and it's actually an image of a network server 750
Nice.
from one of Apple's resource CDs.
Wonder where you got those?
I bet there's a bunch of old files on those. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm looking for mine. Did you just did a type search or?
Yeah, just a finder search, and then set the criteria to create a date, and then sort by.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of files that were, like vintage Mac files that I've downloaded off.
Oh yeah.
And so they don't really count. I've got things like Shuffle Pack Cafe or Studio Session or something like that. But
by the way, we want to know from people in the chat as well.
Yeah,
it's really quiet over there.
Yeah,
if you're on your Mac, go ahead and do the search. Do a finder search.
Yeah,
I'm doing it now.
Fonts for me as well. Helvetica Condensed Light.
Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of them are fonts. I think. I've got more fonts than the average schmo. I think because I've been working in printing for many years.
You want to know what our oldest file on here created was March 8th of 2009 at 6:31 p.m. and it's remote access owners log.html. Whatever that is.
I have a bunch that are December 31st, 1969, because the clock.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
I have a ton of those.
Well,
that's the what is it? The Unix. What do they call it? Unix.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to do a filter.
Epoch. Yeah, Unix
That is
Epoch.
after December 1969. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now, the first text file I have on here that is March 26th of 2009. It's called planes.txt, planes.txt. And I'm going to open it up and see what it is. This is a list of plane name translations that used by another player in the session is using an aircraft that you don't have. So it's probably for some kind of game that I used to have.
Flight Simulator or something like that.
Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
Flight Simulator 10.
That's the 2009
Yes,
file?
that's a 2009 file. I think that's because I actually have my Windows drive in here in the CMP, so it's actually searching everything.
All right, Dana. I think I have you beat. I have a floppy I archived of Missile Command 2, or Missile Command, whatever the name of the folder is, December 12th, 1984.
Nice.
That
That's 100% accurate, but the next one is January 1st, 1985, and it's a font.
Yeah. I wonder if that's Missile Command for like the Apple II or something that got.
I think it. Yeah, I don't know. It obviously could be something where the last time it was created or copied over the date was wrong. But
Are you holding a fish tank? What is that?
no, this is a board in liquid.
Oh,
I thought we were doing that next.
I
and now
could
I'm
just see the
holding
top corner. I was like,
Just gonna
It's
sit
a
there.
holding
nice
fish
fish.
tank for?
Dan wants to know
that's
what the
one.
largest file is.
Yeah.
largest.
Largest file? Oh, all right.
Let's see.
Let's
Let
see.
me get back to my
Search.
Finder. That's actually a good.
Kind of fun.
Let's see. Let me add.
Today on Mac Yak, we just looked through our Finder for about
Oh, God, how
45
do you-
minutes.
Yeah.
You can't
This is
search
the
by. Oh, wait.
dumbest segment we've ever done.
And
No,
we're
it's
all
not.
fixated on our.
Come on.
All right. Yeah, you can search by file size.
All right. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Mine is 19.3 megabits.
Megabits?
Megabytes, bits, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a PDF document.
Wait, smallest or biggest? What do you-
That's says biggest, but that's weird.
Really?
Why is it?
That's
wait,
not-
that can't be
Hold on.
right.
Let's see. Search by file size greater than 1 kilobyte. There we go.
It says
All right,
searching
my
this
biggest
Mac.
file is a Final Cut Pro library of 255 gigabytes with footage and project files about a mirror drive door project that I never finished.
Oh, I think I got you beat there.
I'm sure you do. I've seen
this
your
is
edits.
This is my. No, it's not even Final Cut Pro. It is my iCloud synced photos library, and that is 1.68 terabytes.
Ouch.
Jeez. My largest single file is that video I just posted last week from Final Cut. It's 24 gigabytes.
And then I have several. I have a iMovie library that's 194 gigs, a secondary Final Cut Pro library that's 283 gigs, and they just go on like that. A backup of my PlayStation 3, 100 gigabytes. Why did I back that up? Well,
You back up everything.
apparently I do.
It's what we recommend here at Mac Yak.
Mm.
Back up everything.
Back up everything. Yeah, so let's hear about you guys in the chat. What is your largest file that you have on your system? Is it a disk image or something? Is it a backup? Is it an absurdly large photo library like mine?
Your downloads folder does not count.
Yeah.
No, it has to be a file or a library. Or,
And Jay, your wired folder doesn't count either.
Oh, then we're talking 8 terabytes. Well, it's not full yet, but let's see where are we at.
Why
with
is
that?
mine doing this?
3.78 terabytes.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. And there's a great app called Disk Inventory X. I'm sure there's others, but it visualizes your screen. You could see your drive rather, and you could see what is taking up the largest amount of space. Because that happened to me once. I was like, where did all my space go? And it turns out I downloaded like 8 copies of the High Sierra installer. And that did it.
All right.
So I'm going to put the website there in the chat. There you go. You could download that.
It's free, right?
Yep. This is donationware.
Yeah, that's free.
I put
my
the
largest
HTTPS in there.
My largest folder is my installer's archive.
All right, that says this connection is not private.
Yeah, because you didn't hear what I said. I put the S in there by mistake, so I removed it. There you go. Yes, that was an interesting experiment there, Dana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my installer's folder is 282 gigabytes.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yes.
I have. If you go by, because I have several hard drives. I have 2 4 terabyte hard drives in this CMP, and one of them is my Plex drive, and the other one is basically my work drive where I put all my files. Everything that I collect goes on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have 2 boot drives. They're 240 gigabytes. They're SSDs. One is my Mac OS, and the other one's Windows. So.
Oh, hey, did we skip a topic?
Nope,
Did we?
Nope, I'm going down.
Number 2.
We talked about that.
Did we?
Yes, we did. You
we
were
did not.
sleeping.
No,
The privacy thing. Yes.
No, that's not.
No.
That's not number 2.
It's number 2 on the show notes.
Okay, because there is no topic. Jay screwed up and didn't make
That's
me
fine
an
on my
overlay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we could talk about that right now if you want.
Well, we sort of did touch on it a little bit.
I think we're pretty much covered on everything else, and we
Yeah.
got 15 minutes left. So
yeah.
go ahead for it.
All right,
I have
so
my fish tank.
what? Yeah, we still got that too. But what little things about Mac OS or any of your major software bug you the most? What is the worst thing that really irks you?
Not even the worst,
Natural
just
scrolling
anything.
direction. Natural scrolling.
Yeah, that does bug me. Although you can fix that. The thing that started this discussion with me and Jay was we were talking about Finder windows not remembering where they're supposed to be or what view they're supposed to have, whether it's icons or list or column or whatever. And it's mind-boggling to me that in the year 2021, with all these versions of OS 10, they still have not made window position memory as intelligent as it was in the 90s with 7, 8, and 9. It drives me crazy because I will open a window and I expect it to be in a certain place and look a certain way, and suddenly it'll be over here with icon view, and there's it's driving me nuts.
Yeah,
That does bug me, especially the sizing, because I like to have it a little bigger than what it pops up
size,
as.
position, everything.
Yeah.
The old OS
especially
used
if
to
you have
remember
2
that
screens.
stuff.
You have 2 screens. It's like, wait, where's this popping up on?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Or if you don't even have 2 screens and it automatically remembers that, hey, I was on the second screen, and you're like, you can't get to it.
And what's frustrating is browsers remember window position and size more accurately than the Finder does, and it just drives me nuts.
True.
So that type of thing.
One of the things that really irks me, and it's in iOS, especially on the iPhone, is the flippin' autocorrect, not autocorrect, but the actual, when it sits there and it comes up and says, hey, this is what I think you're going to be saying, and then you go and finish typing what you actually really want to spell, the way it's supposed to be spelled, anyway. And it changes it anyways because you don't hit the little X button to say, no, I don't want that. I hate that. It's like, okay, give me the option of selecting it if I want, but if I don't select it and if I'm spelling it a certain way, don't tell me that it's supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you type OpenCore. Okay, OpenCore is all one word normally.
It makes it 2 words.
But it wants to make it 2 words, and I'm like, no, don't do that,
For me, autocorrect is never there when I need it, and it's always there when I don't want it.
Yeah.
And it refuses, and that's, just a personal pet peeve I have. It refuses to autocorrect curse words.
Well, yeah,
like
if
you always
I'm
cursing someone out and I mess up, then it, you know that the AI in there is clever enough to know what the hell I'm talking about, but they just refuse to do it. It's like, stop policing my speech, dude. Just let me curse.
Yep. Oh, thank you, Madeline. Thank you very
Madeline.
much.
Thank you.
So Apple renamed the trash to bin in Mojave.
They did?
Bollocks to that, I say.
That's
Why?
probably because we're in Australia and we don't use the word trash out here.
Yeah, for me it says move to trash. You scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, so I imagine it's probably something that might be able to be done, but because we don't use the word trash out here. But having said that, if anyone like me who's been using Macs for such a long time, it's been trash all that time. It's not like, suddenly in this day and age I've forgotten what trash is.
Yeah, exactly. I got to agree with you. But like Jay was saying, I'm like, it still says trash on mine. I'm like, what is she talking about?
It occurred to me after I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, because they've got different languages for all of OS 10 now, too. So,
yeah.
Well, I thought Australia uses
the next
English.
They
Sean
do, but
says,
we say garbage or bin or something like that.
They have
Or-
their
or
own
you-
trash.
Or you say bonnet instead of hood, for a
Yeah.
car.
boot
Boot
instead of trunk.
trunk.
Instead of trunk. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Sean has an issue as well, but it's his issue, not the OS issue. It's squarely his.
Don't say
When I
LEDs.
drag a window from my top screen to my bottom screen. Like, who stacks screens anyway? You guys have decided? Weirdo.
A lot of people
Anyway, when he drags a window from his top screen to his bottom screen, but he doesn't drag it quite far enough, so the top of the title bar is visible at the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
the
I
OS's
thought-
fault that you need to practice your calisthenics.
I thought what he was referring to is if on some of the newer Mac OSs, if you don't drag the window far enough onto the other screen, it sort of just gets stuck in limbo.
Yeah.
Because
he's using a laptop in front of a monitor. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's something in I think it's under the mission control and system preferences, like displays have separate spaces or whatever, and I think that kind of cuts things off. It's a weird.
Yeah,
I think I
in
turned
fact,
it off on my
that
work laptop.
is another pet peeve of mine too. Because when I first started using two screens, and I wanted to see, like, if I wanted to move a window halfway between, it wouldn't do that. It would you'd see only
You had to
half.
change that.
You'd see half of the screen. You wouldn't see the other
Because
half.
they took that away after, I think it was Lion that took it away. Because I used to have two screens, and I set it up as one giant screen. I could take a window, resize it across both my screens, and it would just work like that. But then when they came out with spaces and all that stuff, they had to be two physical, different.
Well, but you could
output
still go
sources.
back. I mean, there's a setting in there, but it's very hard to understand how Apple did it because I had to do a search and figure out how to do it. Because
And you have to log out for it to take effect, otherwise I'd try it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you lose your spaces, or you
Yeah.
only have one space left, or something like that.
Dan says he doesn't like seeing dot files or invisible files on non-OS 10 operating systems, and that does get kind of old. It's not necessarily a thing that I don't think they need to fix, but yeah, if you take a folder from OS 10, you copy it to an OS 9 machine, you see all these files that you wouldn't normally
DS
see.
Store and
Yeah, but OS 9, if you take an OS 9 folder and copy it to a Windows drive, you're going to see desktop DB, desktop DF, or whatever the other one was.
nothing new.
So it had invisible files too, but yeah, it can be frustrating, especially if you're sending that folder to somebody who doesn't know better, and you might try to open one of them. Hey, I think some of your files are corrupted. No, just throw it away.
That's when you know your client is an idiot.
There's one thing with Safari that drives me bananas. Now, I know that's Safari, not necessarily the OS, but given the fact that it comes with as part of the OS installation, the
fact that
the address bar up the top is when you just straight out of the box, the address bar up the top is quite small. There's space on either side of it. And I like the address bar to be as big as possible so I can see the whole URL. Yes, that's right. I want to be able to see everything. And so what you can actually do is you can remove the spaces from the toolbar. You can take the spaces out that stop, creating that padding. But the problem when you do that is then there's nowhere in that top area to kind of grab the window to move it. So if you go to try and move the window, you go to click, you're either clicking on a button or you're clicking on the very top, which just extends the top of the window rather than moving the whole window.
Yeah.
So you think, okay, well, I'll put the spaces back so I've got somewhere to grab. But the spaces occupy like 1/3 of the width of the window. There should be an option for narrow spaces, just little ones. They only need to be like tiny.
Well,
That serves you right for using Safari.
and you mentioned Safari. I got one little pet peeve
Gotta pop
about
that one.
Safari on Big Sur because if you look at it on Mojave, Catalina, and everything else below that, if you look at the tabs on there, okay, there's a little plus if you want to add a new tab to it right next to the last tab, correct? Okay. In Big Sur, they moved that little plus up between the share button and the maximize button. So there's a share button plus and a maximize button. So they moved it, and it's no longer in your tabs anymore, which is stupid. I don't know why they did that.
Hey, how about we talk about that? The maximize button has changed. I don't know how many times. So like in classic Mac OS, you had your window shade button, which would zip the window up, so all you saw was the title bar. Mm-hmm. So you can move it out of the way and see things that were behind it. Then you had the resize button that would resize the window to show all or as much of the contents as possible.
It would sometimes just resize it as it wanted to. Just
right, yeah, like especially in Tiger. In Tiger, if you hit that button, it's like, here? No, that doesn't even show me. So it's like, but now that little green button goes full screen. Yes. And I'm sure there's probably a way to change it, but they've changed it over the years so many times.
I'd be fine with that if it worked.
Yeah. If you hold down Option and click on green, it goes from the full screen to the maximize. So that brings it back to the
sorry, what do I have to do?
Hold down Option, and if you hover, notice if you hover over the green, it goes from the full screen to the plus.
Ah, yes, I see that.
It's been around a while, folks.
Is it already?
I learned something new.
I don't mind the full screen.
But why should we have to do that?
But there's always a delay. Like, crap, I hit the wrong button. They kind of have to push your mouse up in the screen and wait for it to wake up for those buttons to lower down, and that's what kills me.
And you know what? The resize should be the default action, not going full screen, because how often do you need that?
Yeah, I don't ever really.
If you double click on the title bar of the screen, it will maximize.
Yeah, you could do that too.
I do that.
I'm still used to the old days when you double click the title bar and it goes
window shade. Yeah,
zipped up.
I miss that.
Yeah, me too.
I did that on the Quadro, and I'm like, where'd my window go? And I'm like, oh wait.
Yeah, that's actually how I found out about the full screen deal with the title bars, because I was trying to window shade something and it wouldn't. It went full screen. I'm like, this is the exact opposite of what I want you to do. But the one thing that annoys the crap out of me is the freaking dock moving around. It's like I'd love to be able to lock the dock on one screen instead of it moving from screen to screen.
Mm-hmm. You can, actually.
And for me, it gets stuck often. Like if I move between spaces, I move to a different space, and my dock will just stay there, even though I have it set to auto hide.
What OS are you talking about?
I'm on Mojave.
I would say I'm on Mojave.
See, mine stays put.
How many screens do you have?
2.
Go to your screen that doesn't have your dock and just hold your mouse down at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I'm trying that. It's not coming up
for me.
So
yours is broken.
You can configure that though.
Well, do you have yours set to hide?
No.
Unless I think there's a setting where you could set it just to the main screen instead of all screens.
It will still move if you hover your mouse at the bottom of the screen, though.
Oh,
not for me.
There's a setting now. Double click a Windows title bar to either zoom or minimize. It used to be minimized, at least in OS 10.
You know what I miss?
Look at what we're learning today.
This is not a grievance with the current OS. Well, it kind of is. You know, back in OS 8 and 9, you double click the bar and it just condenses into a bar.
Yeah,
Windows.
Yeah, the bar. It's kind of like your stickies. You would just pile them all on, and they would be sitting there on your screen, and you click one, and you got the window. I miss that.
Yeah, that's I think just based in chat. There's an alternative for that called Windomizer. It does the same exact thing as Window Shade.
What?
I want to Window Shade.
Jay's going to be looking for all this stuff.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, I don't see a particular setting that tells the dock to stay put, but mine does. Like I go over to this other screen and I'm going to all edges, and it's not popping up anywhere.
I'm sorry, Jay, but it is a subscription model.
There's a free trial below, so you can try it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there are others too. I'm sure they're not the only person who made it.
I bet it's in displays.
Probably. All right. Anything else before we move on to our last topic, where Steve, I think he's impatiently wanting to talk about
Yes,
something.
let's see talk. I want to see what's
It's
going
your fish
on.
tank.
Yeah, he's had his fish tank there for a while. We got to let him talk about it.
That's what I said. Yeah. So we'll let him talk about his fish tank.
All right. Well, you can introduce the darn topic if you want, but
Well, I am. There is no topic. I don't have an overlay for that.
I get what the overlay.
That just means you're not good enough.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I guess so.
You can blame Jay for that.
So we were sort of talking about resurrecting things from the dead, old electronics and such like that. So this guy Mike on Facebook was going to throw out this Macintosh SE30 board. I have a photo I could show on my phone as I yammer on here. And so the idea was that he had this Macintosh SE30 that the battery exploded in, and yeah, the damage to the board was quite significant. Rotate and all that stuff. But anyway, there's a bunch of disgusting stuff on it, and if you tuned into the live stream yesterday, you saw that. But what I have done in my vain attempt to try and repair this thing is to gently scrape off and brush off as much of that crap as I can. And it actually doesn't look too bad now. Now, I'm not expecting this thing to work. It's probably still a parts board, but I'm curious. I'm very curious.
That's pretty impressive, Steve.
As am I.
Hold on a second, Steve. I just put you as full screen, so that way you can see you.
All right, now let me just move my microphone so I get this closer.
Oh,
here.
look at
Get
you.
closer.
Get closer. So the area over here and over here is where the most damage was. And
Bet
that
they
has
can't hear us anymore.
The only other thing is that 2 chips fell off, but I think I could get replacements because Bruce sent me a link. So thank you, Bruce.
And about 1,000 capacitors fell off too.
No, yeah, I mean the capacitors could be replaced. That's okay. But
they had to come off anyway.
And the joke in the chat yesterday is I'm going to get this working before I'm going to get my Quadra 840 AV working. So.
I'll tell you, you know what? I have to say, Steve, I mean, I was watching your stream when you were playing with that yesterday, and I was actually kind of surprised when you were scraping at it, and I was seeing underneath where the damage was, and it didn't really look like there was a lot of trace damage to it. It looked mostly like surface damage, and of course, the chips got eaten, but
yeah, there's only a few traces that I saw during that investigation, but I did notice there are some areas where the solder that used to be on the pad under the chip, sometimes there's a little hole where the solder is filled. It was like a cave entrance you were looking into because there was just nothing underneath. So I'm sure there's going to be quite a lot of things where things are not connecting between the layers of that board. But either way, it only cost me shipping, and I ended up buying a working SE board, which you saw on the stream the other day if you watched that, that I got up and running. So this is just like a bonus thing to play around with. And it's my own. It's not a client's. I could screw it up. I mean, it's already screwed up. But what's the worst that could happen? So
yeah, make it worse.
It'll probably look like Bruce's spaghetti Macintosh 2.
Hey, as long as it works, right?
I'm saying his spaghetti Macintosh 2 works.
Yes.
Does it? I can't remember.
I thought it did. Isn't that the one that one of the processor pins was messed up on? And
that's one of them. Yeah. No, the one that I actually called the spaghetti Mac. I'm not sure if that one's going yet. I can't remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was white vinegar to let it sit there for at least 9 or 10 hours or something like that. But I did poke it with a scalpel and tweezers and get most of the gunk I could get off before I did that. And then after it was there, I washed it with distilled water. Then I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then I washed it in there again. So half hour in the ultrasonic cleaner made it look a little better.
He poked it with a spork.
I poked it with the spork. That's the magic.
There is something on this that I'd like to very quickly mention for anyone watching is if you ever end up with a board that's appears to be damaged beyond repair, don't ever assume that no one's going to want it. Get onto the forums, say, look, I've got this dead board. You may not get money for it, but it's going to be worth something to someone as parts. They're people, whoever wants it's going to pay for postage, so
Chips,
it's not going to cost you anything. Yep, that's right. A lot of the components on these are either getting hard to find or they're proprietary Apple chips that you can't get from anywhere. So, anyone out there who's, gets hold of a computer and opens it up and it's an absolute mess inside, your misery could actually be of use to someone, who repairs or something like that. Someone out there will always want that board no matter what state it's in.
Yeah, some crazy person like me or Bruce.
Yeah.
And these are always good boards to learn how to solder on, too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Very true. Very true.
As long as it's a classic, because nobody cares about those.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Those things are everywhere.
All right. Anything else on this topic before we move on?
No.
Bueller?
I got nothing.
Bueller.
All right, guys. So I think we do have a "What Were They Smoking?" So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. Anybody want to throw the link in there?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know why this is a what were they smoking?
Yeah.
It's really not that bad.
It's not
It's a little high.
that bad, yeah.
This was on, I think, Discord, maybe?
Was
I
it
don't
higher
recall.
before? Because some people,
but-
if they're not an eBay power seller, they raise the price stupid high while they're on vacation.
And there is a make offer, but
What was the price before? I mean, that's.
what do you
Yeah,
mean
it was
before?
229, doesn't it?
I mean, I wouldn't pay that much for it,
Yeah,
but still.
Yeah.
high, but
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's a first of all, it's a Quicksilver. Second of all, they don't tell you anything about it. They don't know any of the specs or anything on it, and
Right.
they doesn't even. It says used but works like new. Well, that's
What's
subjective.
that mean?
Because,
Yeah.
it's a Quicksilver. Its power supply could blow up in transit.
Right.
If you look at a Quicksilver cross-side, the power supply is going to blow up.
And if it works like new, why didn't you say what the specs are?
So, but
I mean,
judging
maybe
from
they
Take a
don't
picture
know.
of it.
judging
Or take
from
a picture of the
seller
screen,
name, I
yeah.
think this is a church that might be selling stuff to
Okay.
for fundraiser or something, which might explain it. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sorry.
Sony electronic viewfinder. Ooh,
it does. I tell you, it does have some interesting cards in it, though. It does look like it has a FireWire card, and it's a good possibility it may have a USB 2 card in it. Because these don't have USB 2, so. I would say, it's a Quicksilver, so it's probably going to be a dual processor, at least a 866.
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
message
still
them
not
and
worth
say, take a picture of the back label.
Yeah, I'm going to say I can't get it. I can't zoom in enough on
Yeah,
the
it's too
tag
blurry
there.
anyway.
It's too small. And it looks okay, but I mean, 229 isn't that high. I mean, when you look at when I go down here and where did I just
What's the Australia price on
right
that?
here.
Bruce?
Here's
What
the
would that
related
be?
sponsor items, and here's somebody selling a sawtooth for $150.
I just can't. I can't. There's millions of them
They're
out
not
there.
really worth that, but that's definitely not a what were they smoking?
Yeah,
deal.
I think
That's just
They got hit over the head price.
I think
Yeah,
this guy's
exactly.
smoking the spice cigarettes. That's about it. He's not
Too
smoking
much
anything.
holy water for the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's like Steve. He's been inhaling too much solder, but
But I mean,
But Trina says for me it was the shipping that scares me. What was the shipping? $10
Well,
economy shipping.
I think
well,
it's shipping
but-
in general because people
Yeah.
don't know how to ship these plastic cases
Just
like
slap
this.
a label on the Mac
They
and
eat on
drop
them
it
all
off.
the time.
They'll deliver it like this.
These things are actually built really well, but those handles just don't hold up.
well, the handles,
No.
the side probably won't hold up. I mean, it's probably going to be a mangled nightmare if it's only $10 shipping.
Yeah,
Hey,
nothing
Steve,
is
you
built
should go
to
and
survive
check out,
UPS.
Steve, go check out that seller's other items.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did you see the viewfinder?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it yet.
Yep.
I've got
that's pretty cool.
someone selling an LC2 here in Australia for $500 that's not working.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
That's
I mean, you can
I'd-
actually see the battery, snaking its way across the board. The battery leakage.
Ooh,
Oh,
post the
Lord.
link.
Yeah, share
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's a what were they
Okay.
smoking?
Yeah, okay. It'll obviously come up as a different price for you guys because you're going to probably see it in. Oh, actually, no, you probably see it in Australian dollars. So.
No, if it's in Australia, it's like we'll see it in Australian dollar. You're going to have to convert for us, though.
Okay, I sent them a message. They are first-time eBay 0% feedback, so they're probably.
All right, let's go take a look at Bruce's.
I don't see
but
it.
It has a CD-ROM.
What's 499?
And I'm also totally impressed with the fact that they're saying that it's a 110 volt unit, and those units had a power supply that would actually accept volts from 100 to 240. So.
Oh, look at that goop.
Ooh.
Well,
it's actually not the worst I've seen.
The happy little trail.
May not post to United States.
May not post at all. Get it?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to post at
Well,
all. Well, no, that's right. You have memory on board. That's right.
Yeah, Bruce was talking about the battery. That battery has had better days.
I mean, look.
Really, though? It's not that bad.
Well, look at the snot running all down the board.
I see
yeah,
it,
but it looks
that's
better than Steve's board.
Well, true.
Thanks.
I see maybe three, maybe 4 components that might be bad, but you can tell it was stored vertically, or at least at I guess it's at an angle.
It was stored with the back down.
Right.
Yeah. So, my concern would be that SCSI port. So close.
Yeah.
This is just such a bizarre sale. I mean, they're including it with a step-down transformer. You don't need a step-down transformer for that model. I mean, what?
Yeah, Bruce, could you make an offer of like $10?
Well, here's the funny thing, Bruce. If you look at the fourth picture over where it shows the tag, it says input 100 to 240 volts.
I know. God, it doesn't make sense to me. It's just and I mean, look, if I was going to make an offer for this one in the condition it's in, okay, it includes the mouse and the hard drive. I reckon maybe between 50 and 100 out here.
Hey, it's got a box.
See that done? I don't care about the box.
The box looks like it's had water damage on it. I mean, look at the
Yeah. Oh yeah, see, Justin has a good eye. If you look at the screws by the left of the hard drive in the third photo there, or whatever it is, the one where you see the battery leaking, you can see there's some rust and discoloration on that hard drive tray.
Yeah.
And you can see if you look at the other side of that SCSI cable, that's all goodness there. So if you look like the Performa 430 unboxing video I did, when I took out that hard drive and the whole bottom shield was just rust, I think that's what's going on there.
I'm sure that, I mean, you can actually see in the background of that shot that there's rust on the top shield. It's just right at the top of the photo there. You can see the rust on the top shield there.
Oh, yeah.
At the cover. So you're definitely going to have that rust underneath as well. There's no doubt about that. But as I say, I mean, I reckon the board is probably salvageable. So that, for me, the discoloration on the outside case is horrendous. So, I mean, it's like there's not a lot of value in that.
Better than no case at all.
Yeah, $50. $50.
Make an offer for 40 and see what
I'd go up to 75.
All right, guys. So
something.
So that about almost wraps up the show tonight. So we're going to go to our shameless self-promotion. And what are you guys doing lately? And Mike, I know you've been doing a lot more streaming. So tell us about some of your streaming you've been doing.
Yeah, and it's costing me a blooming freaking fortune thanks to these jackasses that call themselves Comcast. I still have a week and a half in my billing cycle, and I've gone to 100% of my data allotment.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
So I am now going to business class internet.
Ooh.
Because I can get business class internet, which is faster.
With no caps.
And it'll cost me like $30 less a month.
That's why I stay away from Comcast, because I think there's
Comcast though, right?
Well, you don't have a choice.
I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's either Comcast. Oh yeah, and Comcast. Oh yeah, and CenturyLink if you want DSL.
So why would the business class, which is better in almost every way, cost $30 less?
Because the lowest business class tier is like 5 times faster than like the lowest consumer. Like the lowest consumer tier here is I think it's 20 down and 2 up, and that's like $69 a month. Whereas with business class, it's 120.
I hope it's available in your area, because the website I'm saying is limited to select areas only.
What's that?
The business class.
Anywhere you can get Comcast internet, you can get business class.
I hope so.
So, yeah, I've already been in talks with them.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to use my own equipment to try to save like $35 a month, but that's.
I have a cable modem you could probably use.
I have a brand new Linksys cable modem here. I've had forever.
Okay.
So, and I've got more than enough freaking switches and routers and everything else.
Yeah,
here.
just make sure that modem is capable of doing the up and down speeds. Otherwise.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty new one. So,
all right. Yeah, just let me know. I have one that I'm not using.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's like DOCSIS 3 or whatever compliant.
I think it's 3.1 now. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I'm gonna have to switch my internet because Comcast is just raping all of us over the coals right now. It's just
it's a real thing, man.
Yeah.
You think you rake somebody over the coals?
All right, Bruce, you got anything going on lately?
I am going to be spending this weekend trying to get some storage happening in here for all of these recapping jobs that people have been sending me. So I probably won't be live streaming, unfortunately, but the repair side of things will be picking up soon. So yeah, that's
all
me.
right. How about you there, Dana? Are you doing anything?
I did buy a new set of shelves like my other two, so I'll be putting that together this weekend. I can get my iMacs off the floor.
Stream it?
I suppose I could. Anybody want to watch me build shelves and put iMacs on it?
Hey, at least you're doing
You would
things.
be surprised.
Steve
you guys
gets
watch
like
me put the freaking desk together for crying out loud.
Steve gets 60 viewers watching him go through boxes of like this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting, Steve. Look, I found a comb from 1987. Oh, look what you're over here. This hard drive has some really cool stuff on it, but I don't know what it
Let
is.
me comb the hair.
All right.
I may do that because it will be right in front of my camera, so it'll be.
Well, you could do it alone, do it with friends.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
All right, I'll do it.
Yay.
Myself, I don't have anything planned lately. I'm just doing my 3D printing thing, so I've been having fun with that still. So and doing the show here. So as far as my channel goes, I haven't put any new content. And I'm still getting subscribers. I got like 5 subscribers yesterday, so I'm still getting subscribers. I haven't put out any new content in over a couple of months. So it's good to see subscribers still getting there, though.
I got 2 this week.
I am going to be doing a stream on Sunday. So
yep.
I got my streaming computer all set up now. I won't say what it is because it'll make Jay puke. So.
Well, Jay's not here right now, so you could say it.
Oh yeah, I'm using I got a little Lenovo i5 quad core.
He's going to puke in live
I'm
chat.
going to just use for streaming.
Yeah. There it goes.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers, so I'm crossing my fingers and seeing where that goes. But I'm doing a giveaway for the Alpha Smart 2000 word processor. So if you want to win one of those things, you can go ahead and enter that giveaway there. I'll put the link in the video in the description thingy, the chat thingy. That's what I mean.
The live chat.
The live chat.
Oh,
so you could.
When are you doing
that,
Steve? I can't remember.
That's sometime on Sunday. I'll do it. We'll coordinate. But you have to enter on Saturday. You can't do it at the last minute there. So enter Saturday is the last day. Watch the video, see how to enter. And if I hit 5,000 subscribers, which may or may not happen by Sunday, I'm giving away 2 of them. Not just 1, but 2.
So, I almost forgot about this, and I'm glad you mentioned the giveaway thing there, Steve. But I just had 3 of these made up. I know if you guys been watching, me drink.
I'm looking at my screen and I see you and I see 3 other people. So there you go.
But I have 3 of these. Okay, and I had these made up. They weren't cheap to make either, actually, believe it or not. These are fully metal cups. They've been really professionally done as far as the Mac Yak logo on here. These do not have names on it. Mine actually is a bigger version of that, and it actually has my name on it. But
of course, you get the big one.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
got that 48-inch curved monitor. So
I am thinking about doing another giveaway for at least one of these right now for our next milestone, which I think 1,500 should be our next milestone.
What are we at now?
We're about
1.13.
Yeah, so we got about
30 something.
1,500 sounds good.
So 1,500, I think, would be a good goal to get to. So what I'm going to probably do is put another post. We'll post up something on. We're not going to do it yet, but we'll probably announce it next week. We're going to put another thing like we did for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. However, this one, if you live outside the United States, you're going to have to pay your own postage. I will pay postage in the state. I made that mistake at Trina 1, and it cost me more than the MacBook was worth to ship it. So, anyways, I'm thinking about giving away one of those to one of our viewers. I'm gonna gin up the rules and everything, and when we reach 1,500 subscribers, we will go ahead and give that away. Steve, you suck.
I love you too, Greg.
What's he just done? What's he done? What are you doing?
What's happened?
Oh,
it's a rhino.
It's a rhino. So somebody goes, "Would you ship to Canada?" I will if you pay the shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what though? I mean, we're doing a giveaway, we could all pitch in and help with the shipping.
Yeah, but I pay.
That's the only.
Why
way
make
to
the
get
winner
big
pay
stuff
for
a
the
lot
thing that
fun.
they just won?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, with my giveaway, I'm saying I'm going to cover X amount of shipping, and if it's a considerable amount to you, you pay the rest of it. That's the way.
Yeah, but there's 7 of us here. There's no reason we all can't chip in a couple bucks.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
True.
I'm
I mean, that's we'll all talk about that offline, but we'll figure it out. And we're gonna like I said, it's a nice metal cup. It comes with a straw too, and it is fully metal and it is insulated, so it does keep your stuff warm and cold. So there you go.
I'm probably going to be announcing a giveaway on my live stream this weekend as well.
Whoop-de-doo. Giveaway, fantastic. Woo!
So Steve goes, it cost him $18 to send papers to Trina. Paper.
It did. Paper.
Yeah, I don't know why it costs that much to send it to Canada when it costs less to send to.
That was the cheaper option. That was the cheaper option. It was 36 or 18. I chose the 18.
All right, guys. So that should wrap up our show tonight. Unless you guys got anything else you want to share.
Oh, I'll probably be cleaning too. So there you go.
Oh, you're gonna stream?
Not
probably.
Now. Sometime
all right. Some of us will be over on Discord. So if you want to join us over there, we're going to start trying to do that a little more often. So some of us will be over there for a little bit. And I know we had a big group last week. So let's see how many
voice
we can get.
chat for Discord.
Yes, voice chat. Oh, actually, voice and video.
Yeah.
We actually did both last week.
Oh, we did do both. Yeah. That's
Yes,
right.
we did. Because
amazing. It went for ages, actually.
Yeah. Exactly. It went for way longer than the show.
I don't think that's going to be a typical thing, but
yeah, we're going to do it every so often. But meet us over there, and we'll catch you guys next week. So have a good night, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.